Mills fashions a kick back towards the wing for Lady! Left now, lines them up. It's coming back. Cox is the biggest man there.
Hello and welcome back to Red Time for another season. I'm your host, Jarryd Barca, and joining me today, as he will be every week for this entire season, all year long, we'll have Collingwood's premiership hero, Mason Cox. Coxie, welcome, mate. It's been a long time coming, but we're finally here.
Man, I'm so excited. This is awesome. I've been watching it for a long time, so it's great to be a part of it now. And yeah, really excited to get kicked into it.
By a long time, what do you actually mean? Because Red Time's been around for 1 year, so I reckon you're telling fibs that, hey, if that's how you want to start the show.
A year can be a long time, believe me. There's a lot that happens within a year of footy, I'll tell you that.
That's true. Hey, 4 rounds in, but as they say, better late than never. But how have you been? Oldest team in the comp, 3-1 after 4 games?
Gosh, you started off with the oldest team in the comp as the adjective. Thank you, I appreciate that. It really makes me feel better at 34.
I try.
No, it's going really well. It's exciting times for us. Yeah, we're 3-1 at the moment, and yeah, we're just enjoying it really. So we obviously go over to Gather Round, which we'll cover a bit more here, and
yes,
yeah, things are going well with the club, so everyone's happy.
Absolutely. Great to have you here, as we said, mate. ESPN Disney Studios here, so we're
Schmick in here, does that look real nice?
That is Schmick, isn't it? Well, look, we've been around for a little while in Australia, but obviously you grew up back in the States, so you would have been exposed to ESPN and all that growing up. Do you have early memories or a favorite memory of ESPN?
Oh, man, I used to be addicted to SportsCenter. Like growing up, it was every single day. My brother used to kind of have this dream of being like an anchor on SportsCenter. Yeah. And obviously being the older brother, as a younger brother, you kind of follow in his footsteps. So for me, he's going to be quite pissed off to see me working with ESPN. And he'd be like, who the heck do you think you are?
Yeah.
But no, it's an incredible experience. And, I'm really grateful to be able to be here.
Absolutely. We're lucky to have you as well, mate. So, yeah, full circle moment, isn't it? You start like that growing up, and now you're here in Melbourne, Richmond, talking to a journo that you probably never heard of until very, very recently. So, hey, we're swimming, mate. Hey, we've got a lot to unpack. So it'll be a really fun season. We're going to talk about a lot of issues and topics in the AFL, mate. I'll be throwing to you a lot of different questions. We'll be talking a lot of rubbish here on the way as well. Before we do sink our teeth into this, Alex Condon. So he was
legend himself.
He agreed to sign with Collingwood as a Category B rookie last year, just in case he wasn't drafted into the NBA. But of course, yesterday he won the national title in the college basketball with Florida after a really strong season. I mean, tell us what you know about him, and have you crossed paths with him much since he signed with the Pies?
Well, I don't know if he's technically signed. It's kind of a bit of a weird one. I think it's
handshake agreement,
if then kind of statement, right? But now he's been at the club quite a few times, so he's kind of been to a few games. He's been into like the coach's address, after a game and stuff like that. And he's a big fella. Like he's almost, I'd say he's probably ranked the same as me. I'm not.
You're
I'm not sure who's taller. So
212,
and
it's a lot of centimeters.
Well, that's a lot of to me count. But. Now, he's been around, so I've met his dad and stuff, some of his family, and, it's incredible. I keep in contact with him here and there, and I was back in the States, and I remember I was eating lunch, and I looked up to the screen, he was sitting there, and he just did a dunk or something like that, and I was like, filmed it, I was like, Alex, I'm watching you on TV, man! And it's incredible. I don't think people realize how big of a deal it is, winning the national title that he just did, like the Final Four, and all the success that he's had there at Florida. It's pretty incredible, and his rise over the last year.
He's had an awesome season.
Is amazing. So it's pretty cool to be able to see him do that, and not only just himself, but Australians in general be successable over there.
Yeah.
And there's a chance he might get drafted to the NBA. So
the AFLs will also be the NBA's gain. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think his paycheck's going to be 100 times what it would be in the AFL. So
we laugh. Yeah. We absolutely laughing. Mate, let's get stuck in. We've got a lot to get through. As I said, we'll start with Gather Round. I mean, massive game, as you just touched on before, against the Swannies Friday night, Adelaide Oval, big game. They've won their last 2 games. The Pies have won their last 3, but Fly's going to have to make a few changes. Lockie Schultz has done a honey. Jordy DeGoey out with Achilles and ankle soreness. And Houston's a big one as well. Has been rubbed out for a couple of weeks for a high bump, which occurred last week. I'd just like to get your thoughts on, I guess, if we're starting the hot.
Maybe fuck the AFL, right?
Sorry. Just your thoughts on the AFL's crackdown, I guess, on these head knocks. As someone who may have copped a rogue fist to the face a couple of weeks ago.
There's a few scars on my face at the moment.
Just a couple. But yeah, I mean, look, from the outside looking in, as consumers of the sport, media, fans, whoever it is, we look at the MRO guidelines, and sometimes we're confused by it all as well. Are the players just as confused by this and what you can and can't do on the field?
I think the most important thing we have to preface this is players' health and safety is number one. And that's always got to be a priority from the AFL players' standpoint of them playing the game, and also the AFL standpoint of adjudicating these things.
Yeah, 100%.
As players, I think it can get a bit murky. We're given essentially a grid system to be able to figure out kind of where an incident would fall into, and it's kind of graded between intentional and careless, and then that can go into from there. It's subdivided into high impact, medium, low, and then you talk about the different areas of the body it's kind of hit. So you kind of look at that as your guidance whenever it initially happens. You're okay, it falls into this category, and then it goes to there and there and there. That's too much suspension, or that's a fine, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
The Dan Houston thing, I can understand, I guess, kind of how they got to that point. But I think there is, for me personally, I look at it and it seems like it's from the grid system, it's pretty similar to what happened to me 2 weeks ago. And that player, I missed the rest of the fourth quarter, and that player ended up staying on the whole time, and then doesn't get a fine, doesn't get a suspension.
Well, that's
anything.
You talk about the grid system suggests that there might not be any difference, because you look at it at face value to the letter of the law. It's should be the same. It's contact to the head. Whatever the impact is, the player plays on. But on face value, when you're actually looking at the vision, you can see the difference. And the AFL, as they did suggest, in these cases, that Lobs one, given it was an attempted spoil, didn't need any further assessment. They didn't need to go through the MRO's table of offences, whereas the other one is a bump, which is what they're trying to outlaw from the game. So that's when you look at the actual vision. But then, as you say, the letter of the law and the actual guidelines might not differentiate it as well as our eyes tell us. And that's probably what the issue currently is with the current framework that we have.
Yeah, and I think it's very hard to adjudicate these things and be able to find the initial thing. But I think you look at the way they adjudicate things of intentional or not intentional. It's like, how are you going to really know that? The only person that knows that is the person that did it.
Yeah.
And there's some kind of gray area in that sense, and there always kind of has been. And it's interesting. Like whenever it happens, you always kind of go, oh, okay, I've hit someone maybe high or something's happened, and you kind of sit there for like 2 or 3 days until you kind of get the law kind of laid down on you. You kind of go, I have no idea what I'm going to get here. It could be a game, could be a $5,000 fine. It could be something worse. You just don't really know.
It should be clearer than that, though.
I agree. I think this has been a topic for 5 years. I feel like, it was still yet to fix it, they still have, I still find the whole, like, going to a court case at AFL House to be able to adjudicate it. Oh, like, seriously? Have we got to that point? Like, we need to grow up, and we need to kind of move on to a better system to be able to adjudicate these things and make it clear, not only for the people it happen to, the AFL, but also the fans themselves, to be able to understand what's going to happen.
Yeah, indeed. Do you actually get spoken to by the AFL? Does the club come out and tell you what the AFL is trying to really, crack down on, and how hard is that to them when you're out there on the field? Obviously, it's not going through your mind. You're focusing on the footy and trying to play your role in whatever your team's doing. But do you actually think about when you're approaching a contest, like, I've got to approach it this way because I can't do this?
If they change the rules, like, they'll let us know, and that kind of gets drip fed from GMs and stuff like that down to the team and coaches. But yeah, like, there has been rule changes in the way that's adjudicated throughout the season that you just kind of have to play and be able to, sort out on the run a bit. And you might have to change the way you tackle. You might have to change the way you kind of go into a contest. There's a lot of different changes. Like, kind of the hands in the back rules change, you talk about high tackles, that's changed throughout the years. There's been so many things I think that do change, but the biggest thing is the AFL is pretty good at being able to give clear and, understanding whether it's bringing an umpire in, have him kind of have 7 different clips that describe how the change is going to be adjudicated.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most important things for the AFL to help players be able to play in the style and the way that they deem acceptable.
Yep. Mate, moving on. This guy's the talk of the town at the moment. You're uniquely placed to speak about this as a fellow skyscraper in the AFL. Sam Darcy is out here taking the absolute P155. I just want to know, as a taller player as well, what stands out to you when you watch him play his footy? Because he's dominating teams at the moment.
He's got some good hands.
He can play. Yeah,
man, and they're sticky. And he's like, anything above his head he brings down. It's pretty incredible to watch him at that young age. And yeah, I think it was last year, there was kind of rumors kind of how good he was going to be. Like,
he showed glimpses, didn't he?
Yeah, he showed glimpses.
Hangers, I think.
Yeah, but like, it wasn't the, I think like the media storm that it is now of everyone talking about it. And it's great to see it, because it's obviously him putting in work to be able to hone in on his craft and get to where he's at. And he's absolutely killing it. And now you're looking at, I remember last year, right? You had Naughton, Ugelhagen, you had him, and it was like, oh, how do we fit all these talls into the team and
At the
stuff?
start of the season, it was Rory Lobb as well.
And Lob. So you're looking at 4 talls, and then now Lob's gone back. He's taken over the major, and then you got Naughton, who, he hasn't probably had as good of a games as Sam Darcy has at the moment. So it's pretty impressive and a credit to him where he's at and how he's been able to perform over the last few weeks.
Yeah, you've had your fair share of big matchups. But I mean, he's going to get that now. He's getting them now. He's going to have them for the rest of his career. But I guess, what is it that you notice when an opponent is giving up at least 15 centimeters on you? Is there something that they've done to try and combat playing against you that's been successful? And then if so, what do you need to do to sort of change tactics?
Sometimes it's what they can get away with rather than what they can do, if I'm being honest with you.
Such as
There's a fair amount, holding the arms and everything else and holding the player. But
that's what all forwards say, though.
yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what I am. But no, I think it's the major thing is just like his ability and his tank to be able to kind of like continually be on the move, to be able to get to the drop of the ball and then be able to mark it at the highest point. And if you watch a game of his, you consistently see it. And that's something that, as a tall forward, that's what the coaches want from you. And him being able to produce that, they'd be pretty happy with it.
What's the bigger challenge that you sort of got to deal with, that he's going to have to deal with now? Is it trying to utilize his height and his strength as a main weapon, or is it trying to deal with defenders who are going to try and do absolutely anything they can to stop you?
I think defenders will start having to. He'll probably get more free kicks from it too, also. But
Yeah.
I think defenders are going to start grabbing a lot more with him, and he's going to start getting the number one defender if he's not already for most teams.
Yeah.
And
So he should.
Yeah, so he should. He's keeping a bag of games. So you're kind of looking at that, and it's like, all right, as a young player, how can you handle that kind of pressure from a more experienced player that's going to be playing on you, and being able to still try to perform at a high level.
He's already being labelled as the best player in the comp by some people. For NCAA, are you buying that hype? You might have a teammate that has something to say about that.
Yeah, I think I'd have a few teammates that would have something to say about that. But no credit, give the man his flowers. He's going incredibly well. But how do we adjudicate these things, right? Is he the number one person you'd pick for the Brownlow right now?
Comparing apples to oranges.
Brownlow's, by the league standards, the best player in the comp. So is Sam Darcy the Brownlow winner?
Votes. Don't worry about that. Mate, rules that need tweaking in the AFL. Or just something that needs changing in the world of footy, mate. We can take this conversation in a lot of different directions. You think of the holding the ball confusion, 606, score review, and all these sorts of things, mate. Is there something that sticks out to you? What rule needs changing and why?
Oh, I want to change rule back to what it was. I'll look at the center bounce stuff right now, and if anyone watches a game of football, next time you watch a game, see how many times a ruckman and a center bounce actually jump into each other.
Yeah,
I guarantee you it would be in the single digits. And it used to be a cool spectacle, right? It was like two big men jumping into each other, the knee up, and the balls bounce, and it's kind of like it was kind of like an experience of AFL, where now it's just kind of they go and hug each other and then they try to get a hit out. It's like, it's not as sexy as it used to be. And I think nowadays, with the way the rules have been, where you still have the bounce, which I think will be changed. I think it honestly would be taken out of the game in the next 5 years. The answer to full bounce. I don't think there's a need for it anymore with the way they've changed the way rucks can actually do center bounces, because rucks now can go over and take the space of another ruckman. So that essentially nullifies anyone from being able to jump. You essentially are making it a ball up straight away, because you'll see both rucks will go to the very edge of the center circle to try to take as much space as possible before the ball's even bounced. So now it's just essentially become a glorified ball up. And what will happen is the AFL will look at that and go, why are we even bouncing anymore? We just might as well just throw it up. It'll be consistent. Both the ruckmen are going to do what they're already doing. Yeah. And then we just move on. So it's sad, though, because it's one of the coolest parts of it.
Of course, it's like the ruck craft has sort of been taken away, I guess. Yeah, you could say
100%.
So it's when a ruckman, I guess, comes across and they can stiff arm you, which once upon a time they were sort of penalised that.
Yeah, it was kind of penalised as taking space, where nowadays it's kind of, if you try to jump like that, you can essentially just go bang, ball can fall, you can kind of get to it and then be able to try to kick it. So most ruckmen nowadays won't even take the risk of actually jumping into center bounce. Just because there's it's a high risk to be able to do that. It's a win everything, get the hit out, or he gets essentially clearance from it.
Have you had to adjust your tactics as opposed to just doing it?
100%. Yeah, it used to be jumping ruckman, and to be honest, nowadays I don't do too much of it.
Yeah, well, I feel like the ruck position has like a really diverse range of athletes, right? You got the pure tall athletic tap ruckman, and you got like the crash and bash type of ruckman as well. Is there a specific type of ruckman that you sort of think this disadvantages or advantages?
Oh, I mean, it advantages the bigger ones because they don't jump, right? And it disadvantages the ones that probably worked on their craft to be able to jump.
Like
to
it's
be able
use their
to-
body now, essentially.
Yeah, like they essentially now are, the bigger ones are able to use their body to be able to push someone off, where, before it used to be to the point where it was like, well, tough luck, man. I'm going to stick my knee into your head and like, good luck. You either move out of the way or it's going to be pretty painful. So it is a bit of a change, and there has been changes the AFL's made. But for me as a ruckman, like, I don't know how many ruckmen are helping doing the adjudication of rules. I think Brad Scott was the last person that was doing it. I don't think he's ever played a single hit out in his life. So I would love to see someone that's a bit more traditionalist to a ruckman, somewhere helping out with the rules. But it's been a massive change, I think, for us as ruckmen in the league.
If I can put my 2 cents into this.
Yeah, what do you got
The
for
rule that I reckon needs changing is insufficient intent. I've been speaking about this ad nauseum, mate. I just don't think it's fit for purpose anymore. Too ambiguous. He was paid too often. And when we're at the point in the game now, which we are at, where it's getting paid so frequently, you may as well have last touch rule. I think it's clear. Everyone understands what the rule is, who possessed it last. Obviously, the free kick goes to the other side. Everyone understands it, so it's easier for the umpires. It's easier for the fans to understand. It's easier for the players to understand. I'm sure you've had situations where you've maybe accidentally shank one off the side of the boot.
Oh, of course not. No, never.
Of course not.
Usually it's a handball gives the neck. That's usually it.
Yeah, not surprising.
Yeah. Well, so I want to ask you this then. So, do you think doing insufficient intent, changing that rule, is just going to allow for less opinions in umpiring, which makes it clearer for the fans and the players?
Well, it's the ambiguity that I talk about, right? They're asked to be mind readers when they're not. So how can they know what you're trying to do with the possession? So say it is that skill error that I talk about hypothetically. The rule's supposed to allow for that.
Yep.
But insufficient intent is still being paid. And when it is, for those sort of circumstances, why are we not just doing a last touch rule? I'm not the biggest advocate for last touch, but it's more the fact that we are at the stage now where insufficient intent is being paid so often.
Yep.
Why do we not have last touch? They do it really well in the sample as well. I think they call it the last possession rule.
So would you have
which works really well, but I don't know why we don't have it. So
would you have a review system as to who did last touch it out of bounds?
That's a question. But this is why it's interesting. So in the sample, it's a clear handball or kick that misses the target and say trickles out of bounds and doesn't touch a player. So it goes out of bounds. That's a free kick, unless the ball is being shepherded out by an opponent. So you kick the ball out to the wing,
and then you
team
out kind of thing. Like, you touch it. Yeah.
An opponent sort of shepherds the ball out, not allowing your teammate to touch the footy. They'll still throw that in.
Yeah, okay.
So there still is a little bit of interpretation needed. It's just less interpretation that we're currently using for insufficient intent, which right now is just guesswork.
Yeah, but
so
it's guesswork.
But that one's long overdue for sure. Hey, another big topic this season. It's happened a few times. I mean, it happens regularly at games of footy, I guess, but it happened to Ben Mackay a couple of weeks ago. He was getting Bronx cheered by the Bombers fans. It does beg the question, what is and isn't allowed from spectators at games? I mean, you got former player Corey McKernan coming out when this was happening to Ben Mackay. It sparked a lot of debate. McKernan did say that he reached a tipping point in his career when he experienced it in 2002. So he left North Melbourne, went to Carlton, experienced the Bronx cheers. He went back to the Kangaroos, but he obviously struggled with it. I mean, is it ever okay for fans to do this? And do you notice it happen out on the field, whether it's to you or other players?
Oh, you definitely notice it. Especially, I think there's kind of like a few people it might happen to.
Yeah.
And then whenever, they do miss a set shot or something like that, like you kind of have an ear out for it, right? Because it might be coming. Funny, it's called a Bronx cheer, first of all. I just want to acknowledge that because New Yorkers are absolutely insane. But I will say it's a sad part of sport. It is frustrating. I understand people are, emotional. Like they're emotionally invested into the sport. They want to see you succeed. They want to see the team succeed. And they can get quite frustrated whenever, that you're not being able to live up to the level they expect.
And that might be the thing. The Ben Mackay made the big money move to the Bombers. They haven't experienced a lot of success recently, so maybe it's just venting of frustration that they're taking out on a current player, which probably is unfair anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like it's switch the roles, right? If anyone else has said, "Hey, you can do the same job, but we'll pay you a bunch of more money to do it," you're not going to say no. Like, I mean, well, no matter what industry you're in, the chances are you're probably not going to say no. So I think anyone in the same situation would do the same.
Yeah.
But the whole Bronx cheers thing, like, I think, like, me personally, if I have kids and stuff like that, I would never teach that to them, or I would make sure that doesn't happen as, hopefully the generations go on, to give that as a, bit of advice. But I think you can understand being frustrated with someone, but just booing someone for doing something that they screwed up, I'd rather just have silence.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's a necessity to that. I mean, it's kind of sad because it's like, oh, what do you boo in the game then? And it's like, well, you probably boo an umpire's decision.
Yeah.
It's like, if it doesn't go your way, right? Like, that's kind of where it is. But I think, like, the Bronx cheaters thing, it's always sad to hear. And I mean, I've copped it a bit. Like, over the years, I've played some terrible games in my career, but you wouldn't believe it.
You've experienced both ends, right? You get the USA chance.
Well,
you might get the Bronx
Well,
chance.
it's ironic you say that, because I'll bring this story up, because there was one game after 2018. A lot of people go look back 2018, like the Richmond prelim, XYZ. It was maybe like 2019, I think. The next year, I played Richmond. I had an absolute shocker. Like, did not play well, dropped a few marks, and I'll never forget it. It was a moment that sticks out in my career, as Richmond fans actually did the USA chant to me after I'd missed mark.
Right.
So I'd missed a mark, and I started hearing the USA chant back to me from Richmond fans. I was like, fair call. I was like, what? That's all right. You've probably hated me for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So, it's okay.
You denied them a 4-peat. So
Yeah.
They have every
Well, I mean, I still get people coming up to me in the streets today. But I thought that was quite funny. And, for me, obviously, it was, I guess, somewhat of a one-off in that scenario. And but to consistently go after a certain player is something I don't support.
Do players talk about it at all when it does happen? The sort of support network do teammates and clubs actually provide as well if it does happen?
There's psychologists at clubs now that offer support. And then I think the biggest thing is just kind of, like, sometimes it's nice to be around the players that have probably experienced that at some point in their career, and just being able to share the experience with someone else, not to feel like you're isolated and no one else has ever done what you've done.
Yeah.
Or having experienced what you are experiencing. I think that's kind of the beauty of a football club, is you can kind of almost feel as though you have the support from someone else who's been through something similar.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever, you try to get the coach to kind of wrap his arms around you, all the players to wrap their arms around you. And then whenever you do something good, it's to make sure you go over the top with the celebration, and go over the top to show the appreciation for what they're doing. And as a player, that just makes you feel like, you're back to normal, and you're back in the fold, and people appreciate everything you're doing.
We need to talk about something that really gets fans fired up, mate. So it's the big debate. It's not free kicks, or it's not suspension. Sure, mate, it's bloody jumper clashes.
Oh, here we go.
Sorry about this. We're going to talk about the Guernsey designs as well. We'll look towards the other round kits.
I want to do the wins and losses on the Guernsey designs.
I've actually seen what you've written down, so I actually want to see that. I want to quickly just go back to the clash part of this discussion. So the Carlton-Collingwood game last Thursday, people say it's a bit of a clash. People don't really care. In the Collingwood home games, where Carlton's still wearing the dark navy blue, that's, I think, where there is an issue. I know they're wearing different coloured shorts, but the dark and the dark creates a bit of a clash.
Do you say the shorts are the difference? The shorts are seriously like 5 inches long. Like, they're the shortest booty shorts I've ever seen in my life. Ours? Or black?
Yeah, and theirs are.
Why?
Complete opposite. There you go. So thanks for
that. Are you looking at shorts or the shirt that's 4 feet?
So you do notice the clash then?
Yes. I think anyone, whenever you see like a person, right, let's say you're in the game, right, and you're sitting there and it's high intensity, there's so much going on around you, it's like you use your peripherals quite a bit. And whenever you kind of use the peripherals, it's easier to be going, sweet, that's a white jumper to my right, and that's a dark jumper to my left.
Yes.
But whenever you kind of look at it, and it's so many, let's say there's 6 guys around you that are all screaming, going all different directions, it kind of just looks like a mashup of black and white or dark and white, like, and it's the Carlton logo is white. So then you sit there going, okay, it's like a dark background with a white. So if you see like
a stripes, or is that?
Yeah, you kind of have to double guess yourself. You go, yeah, okay, yeah, I recognize that person. Give it to them.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to, I guess, the culture of clubs and them not wanting to change it. Like, ideally, what I would have loved to is us to be in a black and white, and them to be in their orange jumper. That would have been way easier.
That would have been great. Unpopular opinion, by the way, Collingwood's white with black stripes, cleaner kit than the black with white stripes. I much prefer it. For no reason, I went just old school.
I just like the black with white.
It is a bit more on
white, but it's just I like the Port Adelaide prison port.
Well, we're gonna get stuck in. So, do you think AFL clubs need more design? Do you think about the NBA editions that they have, the classics, the upcomings, and all that, and the soccer clubs around the world, and how many clash kits they have as well? Do you think the AFL needs to sort of get into that position just to create more contrast on the field?
I think so, yeah. I think it'd be cool. And I mean, what are clubs in the
It'd be
NFL about? They're about making money. And if you make more jerseys, you make more money. So I don't understand why this hasn't been done already.
Yes.
It is being done. Like the gather round, I think Hawthorne had a brand new jumper. I want to say round 0. They had that brown and kind of, a bit interesting looking one. Not to say it was great, but it was different, which I appreciate. But no, I think it's a great opportunity to be able to showcase different things. Like we had a jumper I'll never forget, and it was Victoria Park in the background. And then it had like I think it was white and black stripes or something like that. It looked really cool, but it was like a practice jersey. And I was like, man, the fans of Collingwood would absolutely go nuts for this. Like it shows the history of the club.
Release it and tell.
100%. But even like having that as, merchandise and stuff would have been cool. But I think we've got one that we've won, which is like a bit of a magpie logo, which is kind of like a bit of a futuristic magpie. That looked really cool. And a few different ones, but we do have obviously Anzac Day, Indigenous, Guernsey, then
Come to do some Pride ones as well.
Some Pride ones and stuff. Like it'd be cool to do a big freeze one. I think that would be really cool to be able to do something different for that. And honor Neil Dan, who's Australian of the Year, which is really cool. But no, I'm all for kind of jumpers. I just would love to see the fans design them. I think it'd be cool to do like a fan design competition to say, we're going to do a design and wear it for a game that's based on what our fans thought would be the best one, and do a vote and anything else. It'd be so cool.
That'd be me. Hey, a lot of clubs are doing gather round kits this week. I think it's 7 or 8 of them. I might have missed one. I might not have. You said you got the winners.
I got the winners and the losers.
Who do you like and who do you...
Now, we'll start losers. We'll end on a positive note with this experience. The losers, Gold Coast. Don't know what you're doing here. I love the pink. But the problem I have with it, pink in the 6th logo they have on there. Like, I understand you got to make the sponsors happy, but it just does not... It looks so boxy, and then the rest of it looks kind of round. Like, it just kind of looks a bit weird to have a black and yellow and then like a pink. Like, it doesn't really go well with me. Anyway,
not really their fault.
Sorry, Gold Coast. I actually love the Gold Coast Suns, but I'm going to say that's a miss there.
I think you do.
Hawthorne, they've got they're trying different things this year.
It's a throwback, been good on them for a nod to history.
Yeah, I like the nod to history, but it's, I think there's something else you can do that's kind of unique. Melbourne, it was okay. I'm big fan of their Indigenous jersey every single year. I think that's their best that they do. West Coast throwback looked all right. I thought they could have.
Are they a loser in your?
They're a loser, yeah. Unfortunately,
I like the retro eagle.
I do like the retro eagle, but I think you could kind of do the retro eagle, but then have it a bit more modernized in some sort. I thought it was almost too retro.
But that's the point.
Yeah, I know, but there's something about it. I was like, you know what, you need to make this. Maybe it was just a photo. The photo just looked like it hadn't been, like it was actually, like a cloth jumper. I don't know why. It just did not take the box. But I go to the winners. Sydney Swans, huge W. Simple, clean,
it's just
fresh. Has the logo of the Opera House. That is what they're known for. And I think that will sell really well, whether it's on a T-shirt, whether it's on a jersey, whether it's on a hat.
They did release a lot of streetwear with this design as well. Less is more.
Less is more sometimes. I think they've understood. The Saints, the retro Saints, I think they were in the collar too. Yeah, I love that. They like the collar. The Saints like the old school collar. I'm not gonna lie.
1800s Guernsey.
Black and red, kind of cool. Love that. Digged it. Something different. And then I think the biggest winner of all is probably the Swans and also Adelaide. Adelaide, a bit of a futuristic jumper. I kind of like the crow that they've got across the chest. They're doing some, I kind of like the design team over there in Adelaide. They're trying different things, and I respect it.
And they're playing well too.
Yeah, that helps. That helps sell those things, which is all about the cash in the door.
Very quick, yes or no? Are you for a heritage round returning?
Yes.
Officially.
Under one circumstance.
What's that?
The umpires wear the old school butcher.
I mean, Matt.
Old school butcher capes.
As well as the girls.
Yes. Like, I'm not saying just the players. I'm saying everyone goes heritage round.
The white trench coats.
Yes, the white trench coats.
Mate, it's almost time to wrap things up. But before we do, don't be surprised if the AFL's admission of umpire error after the Suns-Crows game ends up being a one-off and the last of its kind. I just don't know what they were doing. They're clarifying one decision in a game that has hundreds of them. Yeah, really more important than the decision that wasn't called in the 13th minute of the second quarter. I don't think so. I think they're just frustrating fans, frustrating the club, and it opens up an unnecessary can of words.
Agreed. I think the way to fix that, and Fox Footy actually does this, Razor Ray. Bring Razor Ray back. Put him on AFL.com. Tell him to say, hey, here's the biggest controversial calls. Hey, I'm friends with Ray. I'll bring him in. Get him to figure it out and be able to kind of give his opinion, because I think he's a great person with a very knowledgeable head and plenty of experience on him.
Yeah.
I'll say, don't be surprised. Security at the MCG and across the competition is going to be a lot stricter nowadays. After what happened on the weekend, won't go into the details of it. Very unacceptable. It reminded me of home a little bit too much, not going to lie. And I think you'll realize whenever you go to the MCG or any other big kind of game, you'll see a lot longer line that's going to take a lot longer to get through.
Yep.
So be prepared. If you do go to games this weekend, make sure you understand it's going to take a little bit longer to get into the gates. So prepare for that is my advice for weekend's footy.
Last one from me, mate. Don't be surprised if more clubs turn towards mature age players over teenage projects when trying to bolster a list. These ready-made bodies are just having an immediate impact on games. I think of Riley Bice at the Swans. I don't know how much of him you've called this season. Sean Manor, another Werribee boy last year. Sam Davidson of the Dogs this year. There's a lot of them. I just think recruiters can do a lot worse and scout the state leagues, because there's a lot of good players around the country.
I totally agree. With Brody Marchak on our team is
exactly
mature age. He's been our top goal kicker for the last probably 5 years.
He did it 5 years in a row, didn't he?
Yep. So proof is in the pudding.
There you go, mate. Episode 1. How's that?
Loved it. We nailed it.
Yeah, if we did a good job, I guess you'll be back. So we'll probably just wait and...
Well, you've done all the graphics, so I don't know. You have to change all of them.
That's it. Hey, mate, thanks for your time. And also to everyone at home, thanks for watching us today. And enjoy the footy this week. Don't forget to put your tips in. We'll be back next week.